celebrating 12 incredible years of empowering automotive professionals with trusted news, insights, and strategies. Thank you for driving success with us. Here's to a future of innovation and excellence in automotive retail. You're watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning on CBT News. What should training look like now that we're in 2025? Joining us now in the studio is John Fairchild, high performance fixed ops coach and president of Fairchild Automotive Solutions, to share his recommendations for fixed ops and service training this year, as well as his predictions on the year ahead. So John, thank you so much for joining us in the studio.
Hey, absolutely, Jim. Sure. Thank you for having me. A wonderful, fascinating spot to be in at CBT News. So proud of what you have made it become over the years.
Thank you very much for those kind comments.
How long have you been around?
This is our 12th year.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, we just celebrated
so
12.
fast.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
It goes by so fast.
It's crazy. So let's kind of dive right in here. What areas of training do you think dealers should prioritize in 2025 with regard to fixed ops for their teams to stay ahead?
Yeah, I mean, I think it continues to be all about execution, Jim. Mm-hmm. And as far as what areas of training, service advisor training, those are the people that interface with your clients. Those are where you're going to put your best foot forward or not. Mm-hmm. You know, exactly the opposite is true. Mm-hmm. And what I really find is critical in training in the environment we're in is, you know, it's kind of like trying to get a sip of water out of a fire hydrant in a service drive. Yeah. Right. It's a whirlwind of things happening.
No question.
Right. And so as a service director, what I don't want to be in the place of is that I roll something out that cannot be enforced or cannot be coached to where they actually execute it. Yeah. And so if I roll too much out, or if the technology's right, I know we've all been, a lot of you guys watching have been in a situation where the technology's not ready for prime time, but we've made it a condition of employment. Yeah. And now when they can't actually execute it, Jim, what do?
That's a problem.
They put it down.
That's
but
right.
What that does, Jim, is it really weakens my point as a leader to be able to implement anything from that point forward. So what I would say is service advisor, hands-on sales training, but be careful that we're actually have a rhythm of accountability, that people are actually executing each foundational piece. And a lot of times that's a slow walk, because we want to get them to do the foundational things, make sure we're doing them, and then we can add sprinkles on top of our chocolate and vanilla, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. What areas of training are you going to focus on with the fixed ops service advisors?
Yeah, I think there's two primary advising situations, okay? And when I say advising situation, guys, is I'm going to say something that may take you aback, is that I firmly believe that service advisors are not salespeople.
Okay.
I said it. Okay.
I was going to say, but some dealers fell off their chairs.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, and with respect to dealers and general managers and variable people, yes, we do want sales to occur. Mm-hmm. But if I'm advising properly based on my customer's needs, and I'm finding out what those needs are, then I can make advice that resonates, and then it becomes not so much a selling as it is proper advice. But to answer your question directly, there are two primary advising situations in the service drive. Is number one at write-up. Mm-hmm. What do I do at write-up, whether that be an express customer or a repair customer? And there's two different distinct ways I want to go with that. And what do I do post-diagnostic and post-inspection to present to the customer in a prioritized way that gives them the best chance of saying yes?
Okay. Well, let's dive into them.
Sure. And, you know, and I would say, and I was just doing a workshop at the Pinnacle Center, and we were talking about these very things. And at write-up, you've got two different types of customers in this essence. Is I've got someone there, and it's about a 50-50 mix, or even maybe heavier on express. Mm-hmm. So someone that's just coming in for a lube, oil filter, and an oil change perhaps is an express customer, right? That customer, we got to put our best foot forward if we can do a pre-write-up and have a plan before they get there, because ultimately we want to present additional needed maintenance at write-up for those kind of customers.
Okay. So drill down on a pre-write-up.
Yeah, and pre-write-up, I appreciate you saying that, because in a lot of environments, it's just not happening for various reasons, some of them legitimate, but I would urge you to get around those reasons. Is is I want to look at the customer's history.
Mm-hmm.
I want to pull their manufacturer's paperwork, the VIS or the OASIS or whatever you call it with your OEM.
Okay.
I want to look at what previous declined services they had,
Okay.
Jim, because here's why. If I come into you, you're my service advisor, and you tell me I need some type of service this time, and I say no and I leave without getting that done,
Right.
the next time I come into your shop, if you don't mention that, how does it make you feel?
It makes me feel like I didn't need it the first time.
Exactly.
Right.
It makes you feel like I'm just trying to sell you stuff.
That's right.
And guess what? We get a bad rep in this business because the words upsell are kind of have a negative connotation from a customer.
Right.
Right.
And you got to be careful in this area because it's much like when the dentist says, are you flossing? And you're like, oh, I never want to go there again because I'm not flossing enough, right?
Right.
So if you bring it to their attention, you have to be careful in that delivery, right?
No, and here's what I feel like is a missing element in a lot of environments, Jim, is we're not assessing the need. When I look at the average age of a car on the road, and when I look at the average mileage, and because I pull data at every dealership I go to, what do you think the average miles on a customer pay car that comes through my service drive is? Anywhere in the country, no matter what the car line,
45,000 miles.
Actually, it's more than double that.
Really? The
Yes.
average?
Yes.
Wow.
What
Well, I
is
guess
that?
the average age of a car on the road is more than 12 years.
Yes, it
So
is.
that does go hand in hand with 90
It
or
does.
100,000
And now
miles.
we're not getting a lot of those super aged cars.
Yeah.
And you know what? A lot of service managers don't want those super aged cars because of the problematic nature of that. But what it does tell us that people are keeping their car longer.
That's right.
And if I have this conversation, if I say, Jim, just so I can be the best advisor for you that I can possibly be, I don't want you ever to feel like I'm trying to sell you anything. I need to know how long you plan on keeping your car and what do you use your car for. Now I can resonate to your needs and I can use that magical word because.
Right.
Because you said you're going to keep that car till the wheels fall off, Jim.
Yeah.
Here are some appropriate recommendations.
Right. It customizes it.
And I've proactively eliminated, and I love that word proactive, I've proactively eliminated the notion in that person's mind that I'm just trying to sell them something that doesn't resonate with their needs. So that's Express. I want to use a pre-write-up, and I want to present at write-up on Express. Now, statistically, most customers are going to say no, statistically, at write-up, but I got to get that notion in their head so I can circle back to it again. Now, the other side of the house is a repair. And again, it's probably 40 to 50% of our mix in a dealership is there for a repair. On a repair, I'm going to avoid selling them something before I've identified what their prime concern is, right? But I'm going to prep them for it. And here's what I find that advisors are not doing a lot is they're not getting them ready to hear the results of the multi-point inspection. It's something as simple as this. It's just to get an assumptive approval for the inspection.
Right.
Results. And I might say something like this, Jim. Hey, since you said you're going to keep this car long term, we always do one. We're going to do a multi-point inspection. So if you have any immediate needs that can't wait, I'll let you know. And any appropriate maintenance based on what you told me, I'll let you know that too. Okay?
Right. Okay.
So what I've done is I've avoided the oh, by the way on the callback. Now listen, I've sold plenty of stuff by oh, by the way. I was a service advisor for a long time. And I have sold it that way, but it's not optimal.
Yeah.
Now I can say, hey, let's review the multi-point inspection as well, and they're waiting for those results. Now, you got to be careful about that, Jim, because in a lot of environments on the repair side, you may not be getting your inspections 100% of the time. And if you're not, talk to your manager about that because you're promising your customer that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. No question about it.
So-
And in terms of walkarounds,
Yes.
How do you get a service advisor to take the time? Because they'll tell you, I'm processing as many people as I can. How do you get them to take the time to do the walk around on that car, on every one?
It's a very timely question because we just had hands-on role-play walk-around training at the Pinnacle Center, and I had a group of service managers that can now model what they want their advisors to do. A lot of service managers, Jim, it's about half and half in my estimation, have never been a service advisor.
Okay. Wow.
Right?
Okay.
So they got to be able to model these behaviors, but it's all about execution. And here's the thing is it's going to be awkward if you haven't been doing it. So what's my story to my customer that as a service advisor, I can tell them now as to why I'm doing it? That might be just something as simple as saying, hey, just to add a level of quality to your visit, we've started doing a 2-minute walk around.
Okay.
And, the walk around is not something that's long and drawn out, Jim. It's a chance to build rapport, number one.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, as a minimum requirement, physically on the car,
right.
you look at any incidental damage that's there previous,
Mm-hmm.
right? You want to check their tires and make sure that we're not escaping from tire business that is going way too much to the aftermarket. We want to check their wipers. We want to give them a comfortable feeling with us during that walk around. But
and it's professional.
It's professional.
I mean, we all have rented cars from Enterprise, and guess what they do before you leave? Let's do a quick walk around. It doesn't happen at any other rental car company, by the way, but it does at Enterprise, and you anticipate it, right? And you're like,
Amen.
This is kind of cool because it protects me too, that if something comes up on the side of that car that's there, they're not going to claim I did it.
Amen. Yeah, and you can get that pre-existing damage noted, but more importantly to that, Jim, I think what you're kind of alluding to is, and I'll pose it as a question: are there times that there are legitimate reasons that we can't get a walk around done?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there is.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
Number one on my mind is a night drop.
Right.
Somebody puts a key drop in my door.
Yep.
Obviously,
No
I can't do a walk around with them. Okay, or what if I have an elderly
or somebody
customer?
has somebody drop their vehicle off for them,
or if somebody else drops it off, right? Or I got an elderly person, or I got somebody that's an invalid in a wheelchair, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or I don't have a service drive and I got inclement weather.
Yeah.
What I would propose to you guys is don't let it just ride. Is do a virtual walk around. So in the case of a key drop, I might call that customer and say, hey, normally if you were here, we would do a physical walk around. It takes about 2 minutes, allows me to get to know your car better, but also these other things. And that way I can take them through the same process as though if they were here. The same thing happens in a lot of environments. I got no appointment necessary, which I think is bad news in a lot of cases, right? But if I get 4 or 5 in at one time, and I can't possibly do their walkarounds, I want to go back to the customer lounge as soon as I can, sit down next to them. If I've got a tablet, go through what I would have done with them as a walkaround.
That's good. That's good. John Fairchild, high performance fixed ops coach and president of Fairchild Automotive Solutions. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We very much appreciate it, and love to have you back, because obviously this is a focal point for probably every dealer out there. 2025, right?
For 2025, yes.
No question.
And I appreciate you having me, Jim. Thank you so much. I'd love to be back.
Good. You will be. That's for sure. Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for watching Inside Automotive with Jim Fitzpatrick.